With a vendetta to put it into the games, literally, player 456 is back for Squid Games, and this time to cause disruption rather than win. With a surprising twist altering the direction of his plans, the stage is set for a dramatic conclusion to the games in season 3 of the show. This season, I will break down the hidden layers and reveal shocking truths, and by the end of this video, I'll provide theories on why the frontman spared player 456 from being eliminated in the final scene of the biggest show on Netflix and what we can expect in season 3. But first, if you're new here, I make video content on everything Netflix original. If that's something you like, subscribe. Squid Games Season 2 Explained.
Warning, this video will contain spoilers.
After winning big in season 1 at the cost of a childhood friend dying, betrayal, and the brutal struggle for survival against other players, Yehan, player 456, decided that money isn't everything and could be the root of all evil. With a painful reminder of the horrors he endured and the people he lost, 456 sets out to dismantle the Squid Games and seek revenge on those responsible when he witnesses a stranger being recruited into the daily competition just as he was. While player 456 gathered leads and information to take down the games, we learn that Captain John Ho survived the gunshot wound and fall from the cliff in season 1 after being cornered by the front man, who also turned out to be his brother when they discovered he infiltrated the games to expose their secret island. We now see him back on the mainland with no real evidence to report to the police after being discovered floating in the water far from the island. Therefore, when he crosses paths with player 456 unknowingly during a routine traffic stop alongside a fellow rookie cop, he uncovers player 456 has a connection to the secret games and has been planning ways to dismantle it, using his prize money, hiring the very men he once owed money to due to his gambling addiction as his associates to track down the mysterious recruiter from season 1. But when two of player 456 associates are eager to claim the reward he offered for capturing the mysterious man in the suit, they find themselves ensnared in a deadly trap. After a failed attempt to subdue the elusive figure, he gains the upper hand over them, forcing them into a twisted game of rock, paper, scissors, with only one of them making it out alive, leading the recruiter to turn the tables on player 456, tracking him back to the Pink Motel, where he reveals being a guard in the games prior to recruitment and how his troubled upbringing and desperation led him to take on such a role, before their tense conversation led to a chilling game of Russian roulette, a deadly showdown that ends with the recruiter dying. And when the recruiter lost in Russian roulette, guess who heard the gunshots at the motel? John Ho, who happens to stumble across player 456 and discovers the recruiter's body. Realizing their goals align, the two decide to join forces. Player 456 puts a GPS tracker implanted inside his tooth, hoping John Ho and his allies can track his location in the events he is captured while tracking the front man. And when a failed mission goes wrong to find the front man, player 456 makes a bold decision. Re-enter the games. Convinced it's the only way to dismantle the organization from within, he prepares to face the daily challenges once more. Therefore, before being transported to the island, the guards discover the tracker and remove it, leaving player 456 with no way to be located. Stranded without any leads, John Ho and the others are forced to regroup and find an alternative way to track him. Deception, the theme of season 2. As player 456 attempts to undermine the events, warning players about the true dangers behind the innocent kid games to minimize casualties, such as red light, green light, campaigning for the group to vote and end the tournament, and sharing his experience as a returning player. But things aren't what they seem this time. Deception becomes player 456's greatest challenge, as he discovers that the games have been completely revamped, rendering his prior knowledge useless. His attempt to warn groups about the next challenge not only failed, but also backfired, leading to growing mistrust amongst the other players. With new games like Six-Legged Pentathlon, consisting of 5 mini-games, and Mingle, a game where players must quickly assemble into groups based on a randomly called number before entering designated rooms, after stepping off a spinning platform in the center of the room. But deception not only comes in the form of games being played, but also its players from vastly different walks of life, each with their own burdens and regrets. Among them are players 333, a cryptocurrency influencer whose risky decisions have spiraled into disaster for both himself and his followers. Among those impacted by his misguided advice are players 124 and players 230, also known as Thanos, a famous battle rapper who took the influencer's cryptocurrency advice only to end up in financial ruin. Now all three find themselves in a deadly arena of Squid Games, each driven by desperation. Player 333 hoping to escape his financial collapse, and Thanos seeking redemption after trusting in the failed device that led him down a dark path. As the mother and son duo, players 149 and 007, they face the relentless trials of the games, with their bonds being tested not only by the physical challenges, but also by the moral dilemmas presented during each vote. Their unified goal of family survival begins to clash with the harsh realities of trust and sacrifice. Meanwhile, player 390's entrance into the tournament adds another layer of tension. A longtime friend and gambling companion of Yihan, his struggle with overwhelming debt draws him into the deadly arena. However, his connection to 456 complicates both his personal goals and his fragile alliance needed to ensure their mutual survival, forcing both men to confront the weight of their shared history under dire circumstances. And the frontman, taking on the role of player one, infiltrating the games in disguise to maintain control from the inside. His identity is kept hidden and is first introduced after the first game, during the critical moment when players vote on whether to continue. This calculated move is designated to counter player 456 attempts to disrupt the games and preserve the deadly spectacle that the VIPs enjoy. As player 1, the frontman manipulates alliances and sows distrust amongst the players, all while keeping a close watch on player 456 to ensure he cannot derail the games again. This twist adds a new layer of tension as the players unknowingly compete alongside the very person orchestrating their fate. However, the players begin to realize that there is a real chance to win, and they aren't willing to throw it away easily. After each game, they vote on whether to continue, resulting in the formation of two opposing factions, rather than the smaller teams alliances we've seen in season one. This shift creates chaos, with tensions escalating as players resort to underhanded tactics, such as eliminating rivals in the bathroom to win the next vote, or attempting to persuade members of the opposing faction to switch sides, making the game even more dangerous and complex as each player's survival becomes a constant negotiation, raising more questions. But it's not until players prepare for the third vote to decide if there should be a fourth game. And that's when we see fear creep in the mind of the players. Tensions are up when players 230 threatens to harm player 333 if they vote to end the game in the next round. The confrontation escalates into a violent clash between factions, culminating into a brutal fight that claims the lives of multiple players, including player 230 himself. Therefore, player 456 devises a daring plan to seize control of the games, with both factions locked in a tense deadlock, and with furthermore casualties threatening to tip the balance and determine the outcome of the next vote. He realizes this might be his final chance to dismantle the deadly system, rallying his most trusted allies for a coordinated effort to overpower the guards and take over the control room. Surprisingly, player 1 offers limited assistance, carefully avoiding suspicion. But as the situation escalates, player 1 seizes his moment, eliminating players who were engaged in a fight against the guards, disguising himself as the front man and reinforcing his authority. In a chilling display of control, he executes player 390 in front of player 456, delivering a stark reminder of who truly holds the power. And with the death of his friend, we can only question, where does this leave player 456 if he can continue to fight against such insurmountable odds. And John Ho and his team, they're still trying to search for the elusive island. They don't split up into two groups, taking multiple boats to cover more ground. And then we find out that Captain Park isn't the person we think he is. Previously thought to be an ally, reveals he has a darker side, and tensions escalate when one of the team members catches him on the boat tampering with one of the drones used to scout for the island. In a shocking turn, Park kills one of the team members to protect his secret, with his true motives still unclear. It could be possible he's working with the front man, feeding him information about any potential threats if they get near the island. And like I said earlier in the video, I'll be giving my theories pertaining to why player 456 was eliminated in that final scene. Obviously, they bring him at season 3. And then the other reason was player 390 was the only person that had any type of real suspicion about player 1. And this clears the path for players 1 hidden motives to remain undiscovered. And it questions how the games will play out in season 3. And with season 3 set to drop, I'm expecting 2025, hopefully. The games, with only 3 games left to be played, this tournament is far from over. Compared to season 1, there were a total of 6 games. But unlike the first season, players had to decide after each game if they want to continue or if they want to end the games. But with the heavy loss of players being eliminated from the side who want to go home in this tournament, it likely will continue. There's no question about that. But we might see returning games from season 1 come back, like Dalgana and Marbles. I believe we will see at least one of the games from season 1 return for the third season, with player 456 and player 1 putting their skills to the test to determine who is the ultimate Squid Game player. Player 456 doesn't manage to put an end to the tournament and the games continue to its final stages, there are several contenders who could make it to the end, depending on their individual strategies and the ability to survive the brutal challenges. While player 456 and player 1 are central figures, y'all let me know down in the comments who are some other potential candidates who might emerge as the ultimate winners. Until next time, binge wisely.